Hey guys, this is my deep dive into episode 6 of The Wheel of Time. So let's get right into it. The blood snow, right off the bat. I mean, I've been waiting for this the whole season, and man, it did not disappoint. It was so intense, and I was just like on the verge of tears the whole time, and it just made me so emotional. Man, Shail just kicking ass between contractions. I loved it. And the choreography was really good as well. I really enjoyed seeing the use of her spears. I mean, when I thought of a spear as a weapon and the Spear Sisters, I thought like, you could stab with a spear and throw a spear, but like, I guess in my imagination I didn't get very creative with it, and I just enjoyed seeing all of the different moves and the stabbing, I guess. That sounds a little morbid, but I enjoyed that. It was great. And then number 2, the ways. I love the way the ways look. Definitely different than the way that they're described in the books. This is a change that I really agree with, and I understand why they made it too, because you want to give something visually impactful, and they did a really good job with that here. The hexagonal pillars of various sizes, kind of portraying the breaking down of the ways as well. I thought it was really well done. So, and then I don't remember in the books if you can't channel in the ways, or else it will call the Ma Chin Chin. I can't remember if it is in the books or not, or if they just made that fact in there just so they couldn't open up the gateway. No, not a gateway. They couldn't open up the ways again to get Matt to come with them. I think that's a change that they made, which I think that that makes sense. It makes sense for the situation for sure. Just another change, which I don't mind. This one, the Loyal mentions that the Ogier aren't fast, and it makes sense that they would make that change for the show, because he talks. He's large and like kind of talks a little bit slow and calming and everything, and they view humans as hasty, so it kind of makes sense that they would be slow. But in the books, they are fast. Physically, they can go very fast. They can walk very fast. Loyal mentions about outrunning a horse at one point. So yeah, that is a change, but I don't mind that change. It's fine. Then what Moraine says about Matt makes me think, but she says that he was drawn to the dagger because of the inherent darkness within him. So that convinces me that Matt is gonna go back for the dagger, and we're gonna get to see him fully healed by like a full circle. I hope that's what we see, because that is a really cool scene. So I hope we get that. Oh, I'm getting emotional. It's funny. It just Loyal not reading the room. He's talking about these how he knows more terrifying things than falling into endless darkness, and he's about to go into them when everyone around him is just as scared as they can be. I thought that was great. And then Perrin's eyes. It's the first instance, I think, that we get to see how Perrin's eyes are better than everybody else's, his wolf eyes. And then we get Pad and Fane whistling around there before the Trolloc appears. I love the Trollocs as well. I mean, like, in the last few episodes we haven't gotten any Trollocs. I get it, can't have Trollocs in every episode, but every time I see them I'm like, yeah, that looks good, I like it. And then Ma Chin Chin, so insidious, feeding their insecurities and doubts and their darkness within themselves, kind of bringing that to the forefront of their mind, you know, everything that everybody pushes back way back in the depths. It's just bringing it all out and overwhelming everyone, you know. And I'm glad about how it looked. I mean, for the showrunners, it's a challenge. It would be a challenge to have these three dark things that you have to portray. You know, they have the taint, or the corruption, and then you have Mashadar, and then you have this Machin Chin, and they're all gonna be black. And so I thought that this was a really nice way to make it look a little bit different, because it would be confusing to people who don't know the lore, that the taint and the corruption and all these other things, and they're all black, and if they all look very similar, then it would get confusing to them. So good job. It kind of reminded me of like a swarm of bats or some kind of insectile, had like an insectile feel, which is cool. And then yeah, Nynaeve saves everyone again. Just like 2 for Nynaeve, you know. It's similar to how it's described in the books. It does look really kind of just like this raw power, and yeah, it looks great. And oh man, everyone just looks haggard after that, just rough. And like even Moiraine's, like her eyes are all red and she's shedding some tears, it looks like. And yeah, I can understand that for sure. It reminded me of how everyone kind of reacted to going through the portal stone in book 2 after that whole thing. I mean, I hope we get that in the future, because that is intense as well. I win again, Lewis Theron, so many times, and all these wheels, you know, turnings of the wheel, and it just adds to the whole lore of everything. And yeah, I hope they include that. So yeah, then we get Faldara, and then I'm pretty sure that's Uno, that greets Lan with that eye patch, and yeah, it gives him a hug, it looks like. I'm glad that we're getting Uno, which I'm thinking that's him. I didn't confirm it or anything, but I mean, got an eye patch, so. And Lord Algomar is, he does seem a bit defensive and arrogant, different from the personality that he is in the books. He's very gentlemanly in the books, gentlemanly, and like he's quite lovely actually, like for a lord. And in the Borderlands, in the books, they love Aes Sedai, because Aes Sedai can kill hundreds of Trollocs and Shadow Spawn. Yeah, I don't know why they went with that. I don't know. They might be building towards something else. Then we get Agomar's sister, and we're shown that she wasn't accepted in the tower, but wasn't strong enough to be an Aes Sedai, or maybe failed her test or something like that, which is great. That's great world building. I love every little bit to build this world. I'm enjoying. And then Moiraine wants to send a message to the Reds to go look for Mat, and I was shocked when I heard that, and I was like, it better not be Leandrin. Like, why would you do that? That's not a smart move. So I started thinking, I'm like, who could it be? Who in the Reds could she actually trust? And I was thinking, like, I love Pavara. I think she's so cool, and you know, Pavara is also from the Borderlands, and her whole family got wiped out by Trollocs, and so, or Dark Friends, or maybe Moiraine feels like she can trust her. I hope we get Pavara like sooner in the show than we do in the books. That'd be great. Okay, and then Padan Fain coming out of the ways. Yeah, who who's channeling for him? That's what I want to know. Will we get some reveals of Black Sisters at the end of this episode? Man, I wish the episodes were longer. I'm thinking, like, how are they going to fit this all in if they are going to do some of these things? You know, there's the whole Eye of the World, and then Patton Fane is in Valdara. Got to deal with him, and so I'm hoping that they will address these things in the next episode. But I'm like, that hour just goes by so fast, and I'm always wanting more. So that would be very cool if we did get some Black Sister reveals in the next episode. Yeah, and then Perrin sees Patton Fane as well. Like, he just walked right past them. And, I mean, Perrin's the one with the good eyes, so he sees them. He sees him. Yeah, and then moving on, we got Min in the tavern. When they go into the tavern, I noticed that the people around, they see Moiraine, they, like, recognize her, and they're like, what is she doing here? Like, they don't want any of her kind around, or whatever. And that was a little bit confusing to me. It's like they... It made me question, why do these people kind of hold a grudge towards Moiraine? Because you could see Agomar didn't really welcome her warmly, and these people are like, oh, what's she doing here? So I'm thinking, do they feel resentful towards Moiraine for taking their Daishan as a warder, taking him away from Faldara? Maybe. When she was there before, I can't remember what went down in the New Spring. I mean, I thought she dealt with some Black Aja. Anyway, I'm not going to get into a New Spring, but back on track here. So we get to meet Min, and the character is very on point. She's very down to earth and spunky. Spunky? Yeah. I thought I wrote spanky here. I really love the way that they are portraying her visions. I was trying to envision how they would portray her visions before, and I was afraid that it would look hokey, but it doesn't. It looks very nice. So when she says the Amyrlin will be your downfall, and I don't quite know what to make of it, I guess I'm just gonna have to wait and see where they're going with all that. And yeah, the vision with Rand holding the baby, I mean, is that him and Elaine's baby? Is that him and Min's baby? Whose baby is that? Interesting. And then the evening meeting, Perrin asks, you know, how can you be certain that everyone will die at the Eye that is not the dragon? And you know what, honestly, I thought that was a very good question, because I was asking myself that too. I'm like, well, how can you be so sure? I mean, Nynaeve's power is huge, like, even if she's not the dragon. And moving on, the Perrin and Egwene drama, I found that to be very unnecessary. That's my least favorite thing about this episode. I did not care for that at all. It is actually going against Perrin's character to act in that way, to be married to a woman and be crushing on another woman. It's kind of the opposite in the books, where, you know, he's married to Faile and a woman is totally trying to get him, and he's like, back off. So I don't know what they're doing with that, and I really hope that they're not gonna make it where he loves both Faile and Berelain in the future. I just don't see that as being his character at all. He's extremely fierce in his love for Faile, and you know, vice versa as well. I hope that they're gonna take this situation, this drama, and make it kind of like fuel for Perrin to really be fierce in his love for Faile, as if to make up for not loving Layla like he should have. I hope they go that way. Yeah, moving on. Yeah, Egwene, she shows that she would self-sacrifice, and that's very on point for her character. And I love that. I love that we're getting a lot of these great character development moments in this episode. It's satisfying. And then I love that Egwene challenges Nynaeve, not in a challenging way, really. She points out that Nynaeve's pride is getting in the way of her wisdom, which is perfect for developing Nynaeve's character arc, which is that of humility. After everyone leaves, it's a very tense, upsetting situation, and then Nynaeve pulls her braid around and starts touching her braid, which goes back to what she was saying at Egwene in like the first scene of the first episode, like after the cold open, with the women's ceremony, the women's braid ceremony. I thought that was very nicely done. You know, she's not really tugging her braid in anger so much as she is like touching it for comfort and strength, because she's having a tough time there. You can see, getting me emotional. We got the conversation with Lan and Moraine, and I really enjoyed this one. It seemed like we got some real inside emotion from Moraine, having doubts, you know, like Aes Sedai are just sure about everything, you know, they have all the answers, and it shows Moraine as being doubtful. I liked that. It just shows Moraine as a real person instead of this statue Aes Sedai. So moving on, Lan goes and sees pretty much his family, that his father's guardsmen. He's just looking very comfortable, very personable. You get to see Lan as a real person instead of just Moraine's warder. And Nynaeve is following him. I was very amused. I just chuckled to myself when I saw that. And, you know, she just came from that really tense situation with the rest of the Emmons Fielders, and she's looking for comfort, you know. She feels this love for Lan, and then at the end of pretty much like, it reminded me of like the end of a date. Is that moment there where you say goodbye, and man, the sexual tension between them, really good. I could feel it. It was great. Moving on, Rand was shooting his bow and arrow, and I thought I remember him being better than this, but he's distraught and he's thinking hard about stuff, so he's too much in his mind. He's not doing the oneness. The exchange between him and Egwene I thought was really sweet. Rand wanting to be her warder. Yeah, I like their relationship better in the show than I did in the books. I think it's just more, there's more sweetness, there's more caring and love between those two. I can really feel it, and it's nice. It's innocent. And then we get Lan's backstory, very accurate to the books, very satisfying. I noticed that they changed Nynaeve's backstory to match his in a way, because they're both pretty much orphans. In the first episode or two, I was confused why they made Nynaeve an orphan, and this makes sense. It's a big thing that they have in common. And then we get Rand not being able to sleep, and then we get his backstory and the winter night between his dad when we got the Tam fever dream stuff, and I was when winter night passed and we didn't get that, I was like, oh, I wish that we got that. But then I was thinking, like, I hope we get that later, and we did, and it was very satisfying, and I loved it. It's probably one of my favorite parts of this whole episode. And then we get the rest of the Blood Snow when Min is talking about her first vision, which was of Rand. Rand is born, and it kind of activates her abilities, which makes sense because he's such a powerful Ta'veren. It ties everything together, And that's one of the things that I love about the Wheel of Time, is all these threads in the pattern that are touching each other throughout time, for certain things to happen. It's like synchronicities. Then we get the Blight. Man, yeah, the Blight looks tortured and menacing. It looks fantastic. I'm so happy with it so far. I love the skull in the tree. It was just very spooky. Like, these trees are gonna eat you. And like, what else is in there too, you know? Maybe that weird bear thing, or who knows? So, I am so excited for next episode. Very, very happy with this episode. So, may you always find water and shade.